Hey traders, John Howell here. Today, I want to share with you some amazing buying opportunities of some different things I'm looking at. Tesla, the energy sector, the bond market, the actual stock market as well too. These markets that I'm talking about right now are some really good buying opportunities. I want to share with you why they're good buying opportunities and how we could be looking at those from a bit more of a short-term perspective, what could be happening now for the rest of this year. I'm looking at Tesla, I'm looking at things like also JBL as well too. Looks like actually JBL looks like it could be setting up quite nicely as well too, and even the stock market. So right now, over the next the next rest of this year, these are some of the markets I'm focusing on right now. But then also I want to share with you some some opportunities that for the next 12 months could produce some really big moves around that as well too. So this is just a bit of a gift for you guys to help you guys out when it comes to these markets. But I'm not just going to tell you about these markets. I'm going to explain why, for me, I'm focusing on those and why they're good opportunities. I want to talk to you about the actual setup as well, so you can learn it's not just me making something up. It's actually me using a system and a process that I'm utilizing to help me guide me down having these good opportunities from here as well too. Now, right now, when it comes to new buying opportunities, new trading opportunities for me, when it comes to, just a bit of a side note, when it comes to gold and silver, right? So if I go down to, say, for example, gold and silver right now, this is the silver price. For me, there's no new buying opportunities in the gold, silver, and the mining sector. And the reason why is this, is that for me personally, I want to be getting in, and you'll soon see that I want to be getting in before we actually make a move, right? I don't ever be FOMO in the markets. Right now, the market's actually made an extraordinary quality move to the upside. As you can see, this is the silver market and this is the gold market here. And based off my analysis is that we're about to go through just a bit of a sideways consolidation from here. We're not really, we may not get a bit of a drop, but we're probably just going to go through some sideways consolidation. And then maybe if it's going to go for another move, then maybe after a couple of months of what's called these resting phases, you can see here, see how we just do these sort of resting phases through here. I believe we're in that phase right now where it's just resting, and then maybe we'll shoot up to 5,000, 6,000 beyond there. So none of these are part of the energy, are part of the metals and miners opportunities. Now, bit of a side note on gold is I do see really big moves coming out of the entire metals and mining sector. Just not yet from what's going on right now. So let's actually start off with, I want to start off with the good old stock market here, because the reason why the stock market here is the reason why I want to start off with the good old stock market is a few things here. Okay, so let's actually start off with the NASDAQ, right? And if you understand where we are right now on the good old NASDAQ from here, and you understand the whole cycle of things, if I bring this up to here, this is really interesting, because when I'm looking at these markets, I'm trying to see where we're at right now. And normally this is the fear and greed index. Okay, so normally we don't get the extreme fear when the NASDAQ and the stock market is at all-time new highs from here. Right, so we don't normally get that. What does this mean? This means that even though the market's going up, there's still a lot of support in these markets for more upside. Now, if you look at that, but then if you look at that, but then if you go down to what's happening here on the Fed level, and what's happening here, there's a lot of support underneath these markets right now. The QT is actually stopping, so tightening is stopping. We're going to be starting QE soon. And on top of it, and if we didn't factor that in, look at this here. So even if we do get like a bit of a drop here on the downside, I'm going to share with you what to look out for. That would be an amazing opportunity that I see coming in the markets from there. So if I look at this here, if I show you this here, let me bring this up. I'll bring this up to. Notice one thing here, right? So I want to actually, I'll duplicate this here for a minute. And I just want to show you this here. So I'm going to remove all these moving averages on this chart, because I think there's something really important here. Look at this here. So I've just got one moving average and the volume down the bottom here. Now this is what's called this is 120 moving average on a day chart. So it's a 120 day moving average that I'm focusing on here. And you'll notice that what ends up happening with this one moving average, right? This is one moving average from here. And you'll notice even when we go through these really big bull phases, right? These big bull phases through here and then through here. What typically happens? When we do get our drops, they come back to the moving average, moving average, moving average. And if the moving average is still trending up, most of the time, if we do get a drop to it, drop to it, drop to it, drop to it, guess what is happening? We push back up, we push back up, we push back up. See that through there? So what this moving average, I like to use this moving average like a momentum indicator. And what this tells me here, that if we do get a bit of a drop to the downside here, that's probably all that it's going to do. And then the moving average that's coming up through here, it's probably going to push it. And then we're going to start to see some nice moves, especially if we get just a little bit more of a drop on the downside in the markets. Well, then the fear and greed index is it's already at extreme fear. So then the fear and greed index is then probably going to then switch it into like really extreme fear, which is going to create a bit of a floor. So I don't expect too much of a drop out of the markets. That's the NASDAQ. This is the Dow Jones. And the Dow Jones, sort of the same thing as well too, meaning like the same thing. If we do get a bit of a drop, it's only going to be probably short-lived. And then we're probably going to start to see some more upside from there. If we go look at, say, things like and then the S&P 500, the same situation, right? Meaning that whenever we do get these drops, if the moving average is still very, very strong, then that's when you know we're still in a very strong, as you can see, we're in a very strong bullish environment here. Moving average stays strong. It's not until we get the flattening of the moving average. See how the market then starts to flatten through there? That's when you want to start to be sort of cautious around potentially the market sort of peaking out. But right now with the fear and greed index, I do see if we get a little bit more of a drop to the downside, then that's going to create like a bit of a slingshot move out of the actual stock market. And then I do see that's probably likely to then start this bit of a drop to the downside. Then we're probably likely to start to see a nice move back to the upside, especially what's happening right now and everything we've talked about here today. So that's the few things there that I'm focusing on right now when it comes to the S&P 500 and the stock market. So if we do get a little bit of a drop coming into next week, or coming up to this following for the rest of November, then December could be a really, really, really big, strong finish to the end of the year. So they're the few things I'm looking at right now as I speak myself. I think there's some good buying opportunities there. But then also there's a couple of different markets here. So for example, Tesla, okay? Now a bit of FYI guys, I'm not recommending these trades at all. I'm not recommending these stocks at all. I'm just sharing with you what I'm doing personally. And also remember guys that there's no guarantees of making a profit on any given one trade, okay? No matter what you do, always have good risk management. The number one thing that I'm always talking about, and if you get access to that free book, there's a link in the description there. I'm giving away a free book about what's called the X Factor in the markets there. You can see the details here. And one of the big things that I do say is that long-term longevity in these markets my success in the market really comes back down to I no longer focus on the profit, but I focus more on the risk. And what that simply means is every time I get into a trade, I would say to myself, what am I risking here? Right? Because longevity in the markets is the really important thing. And I've been able to do really well from trading. And I do so much better when I enter the market knowing the fact that I've got my risk under control. What you don't want to be doing is that you say, okay, if this is a losing trade, then it's going to hurt me, but you don't focus on that. So the purpose of me saying that is that even if I do look at these stocks here, I'm still focusing on that. Okay, some of these are going to be losing trades as well too. Makes sense? But with all that being said, and with everything that I'm talking about here, this is Tesla here. Now check out Tesla here. Now if Tesla actually holds here, right? If Tesla actually holds here and we continue, see how it actually bounced off my trend line here today? So we've got the bit of a bottom here, come up, sideways, come up, a bit of a bottom here. I was talking with my coaching program, with my coaching group, and I was talking to them about this. This is actually what's called a slingshot pattern. So if we can hold here, there's no entry for me personally yet. I still need to wait for my trading setup. But on a nutshell, right, when it comes to these markets, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for this market. If this can get back above here, right? And in fact, I'll bring on all the moving averages now, because this is where it gets really, really awesome from here. Let me bring on all the moving averages. And there we go there, okay? So one thing the big thing I'm watching for is we've got this moving average here, but the 52 moving average is the main moving average that I'm focusing on now. And let me actually bring this up. Actually, I'll bring this up to here. Okay, cool. So the 52 moving average is the main moving average that I'm focusing on. And it's more like I use it for like momentum. So there's a few things here. Firstly, I can see how we actually had this sort of support level through here. So if Tesla over the next couple of days can really start to pick back up through here, and we start to get this movement back up to here, and we get something like that going on, and then we get a breakout. If we get this sort of pattern over the next, say, week or two, then that's when I see Tesla overall starting to make potentially some really, really, really nice moves to come. And we could be getting ready for a really big breakout in Tesla here. And this is what you can see. It's really shaping up. Big squeezing up through there, big squeezing up through here. And then if we do get that, there could be a real good buying opportunity. Now, again, for trading opportunity here, long term, I'm not too quite sure about Tesla. Meaning that's not the type of trade here. This is more like a trading purposes, and the trade could last anywhere from a couple of weeks to maybe a couple of months. You know what I'm trying to say? But when you utilize things like options, that could start to really be nice there. So that's one of the markets I'm focusing on. And the other market that I'm focusing on as well too is JBL. Now, looking at JBL, the reason why I'm focusing on JBL is because if you have a look at this level from here, let me show you this here. Let me go to this chart here. This is the weekly chart here, okay? And there's different phases these markets go through, okay? There's this what's called a price phase and what's called a time phase. Simply just means is that typically what ends up happening is that whenever we go through these if we see how we've gone through this real sideways consolidation from here, if this can continue, if this holds here, and then for some reason this week we start to get a break up and we start to get a breakout like that, then that tells me that this breakout here tells me that we could be getting ready for a really nice move to come that could last a good couple of months. Again, guys, these are trading opportunities, okay? For you guys that are buy and hold for long term, see this. That's not what these opportunities are about, right? These opportunities for me are like I buy options. Sometimes I can make 200-300% on the options. That's trading the markets. Make sense? So that to me, and the setup here is really simple, right? Really simple. It's called my L-shaped trading pattern. This is my number one trading pattern that I like to use. And that is when the market goes up and then we go sideways overall. Typically when we do break out, we typically have a nice move back to, we have a nice move in that direction. That's really simple. And that simply means, once again, if we get a nice move up and then we go sideways, when we do start the breakout, we typically go for another nice move again in the markets from there. So that's a bit of a trading. It's my number one trading pattern that I look for. That whenever we do get a nice move up and then we go sideways for a while, especially on the weekly chart, and then we continue breaking above that, especially when we have my 24 moving average coming up on my weekly charts. That tells me that if we do get something like this, a break above 230, then we could be getting ready for a nice move for a couple of months, but probably 1 to 2 months with a nice move. Overlay that with, say, for example, buying options, which that's what I do. Then that's where you can really start to pick up a really good, so 2, 3, maybe 400%, sometimes even more percent return in there as well too. So that's what there's the few things I'm looking for right now myself. Again, for me, guys, just so you understand that these are setups here. I have my setup, but I still need my confirmation, my entry. I have an entry candle that I'm looking for off these patterns here. So I'm not in these trades right now, but they're setting up and I need to get my confirmation for me to trade. Makes sense? I don't just trade because I think something's going to go up. I need to make sure, me being a professional trader, is I have my setup one, which as you can see here, these things are setting up with my pattern. Now I need my confirmation, my entry candle or entry bar to tell me we're likely to start to see some nice moves up there. So also Meta. Meta is one that could be buying opportunities this week for me. This is a different type of sort of buying opportunity, but Meta's actually in a very strong, if I bring this up to here, right, this is Meta here, okay? And look at this here. So this is Meta on a weekly chart. Very strong, as you can see, very strong upward trending environment from here. And so that tells me, by looking at Meta from here, we've had this really big drop down, come back up, really big drop down. We're still in a very strong big bull market out of Meta. And so therefore, as this market comes down to this sort of 600 level, where we are basically right now, there could be a good buying opportunity here where we run up and then we start to make a really nice move towards the end of the year. So out of all the actual tech stocks, Meta's setting up really nicely, because the rule number one thing for me is that I always trade with the overall higher time frame trend. So because I trade daily charts, I'm more of a swing trader, meaning I'm getting in and I'm holding it for a couple of months and a couple of weeks. A couple of weeks to a couple of months. Because I'm that type of a trader, and the reason why I'm that type of trader, guys, because I'm not. I make a lot more money by getting in and holding it for a couple of months, and then having a really big profit on one trade instead of trying to trade every day. Makes sense? So that's what Meta could be here as well too. But look at this here. Overall with Meta, what has Meta's been doing? Right? Up, down, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low. We ran up through here, came down, higher, low, came up, came down, higher, low, and away we go. We're in a very big, strong bull market. So Meta, to me, just from a purely trend analysis perspective and what's happening here right now, Meta could be a real good buying opportunity. So I'm just waiting to see a few different things on the actual daily chart. So this is the daily chart here, and this is what we're seeing right now from this perspective right here. We're almost at my trend line here, but just by looking at this level from here, this whole area, really, that whole area through there, if we can start to get a bit more of a flush down, if we do get that through here, that could be a good buying opportunity I see, and then maybe we start to make our way back up again from there as well too. So there's a few things there, guys, that I've been really focusing on. Probably another one that I've been focusing on. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do here with this one or not. That's Barber. If I look at this weekly chart once again with Barber right now is definitely in a very strong, beautiful upward trending from here. We have just broken out of this basing pattern, as you can see, with Barber. So Barber to me looks like it's just started to break out. And if I show you this level here, notice here, we just started to break out of this sort of this level from here, and now we're starting to trend. And so we're getting in at the start of the trend. We broke up, came down, high, low, up, down. If we can come down to here somewhere, maybe like a bit more, even come back down to this sort of 140 level. If that can happen, then if I go back to my daily charts now, and then why is that doing that for? That's weird, isn't it? All right, cool. All right, so let me do this here. So possibly also through there and then through there. So with Barber, the sort of what looks like to be a pretty good buying opportunity could be around about this 140 level, because if that happens, then there's a good opportunity that Barber could then be getting ready for another good turnaround from there. Yeah, I'm just seeing that from there to there. It's changing again, isn't it? My whole line's changing on me. I don't know why. Anyway, so you can see what I'm looking at there. So probably through there somewhere. So this whole level through here could be a good buying opportunity, because then if we go back to the weekly chart once again, this is the weekly chart. I do see this thing starting to pick back up again. And once again, if we go through here, We were down the bottom here. Now we're starting to pick back up as well too from there. So there's a few things there, guys, that I'm focusing on like this year as for some really good buying opportunities. There's obviously a lot of different things that's going to come up on my scans. I have a scanner. This is my scanner here that I run. And as you can see, that I have 4 different types of scanning processes that I use. And I have, as you can see here, I have 1, 2, 3, and then 4. These scanning processes are there to set up to give me possible opportunities when it comes to my trading setup there. And obviously these are the scans that I give my private clients when it comes to my actual trading opportunities. And the reason why I'm saying that is that because these markets are scanning the top 1,000 stocks every day. So every day my scans are running for me to show me opportunities that I'm showing opportunities that I'm keeping an eye on right now. But obviously the scans every day are bringing me opportunities that I can have a look at to see if there's anything that meets it from there. Now, the thing that I'm focusing on now let's listen. I want to go now more towards over the next 12 months. Okay, over the next 12 months, what buying opportunities do I see happening over the next 12 months? That is probably going to be amazing. The first one here is the one that I'm already in right now, and that's the bond market. So if I go to this, if I squeeze this up here, if I bring up the line chart and I bring on, say, TMF, right, I'm just doing this here just so I can just show you just what it looks like from here. This is the big picture here on TMF, right? And what a lot of traders do is that a lot of traders, they see my TMF trade and they see the market go down just a little bit here, and they're like, oh, John, how's your TMF going? And it's like you are completely missing out on opportunities, right? Because a lot of traders are focused so much on the short-term movement that I'm pretty sure you know this, right? Like you focus on trying to get the small profit, that daily movement, and then suddenly you miss this opportunity that had this really big move for 12 months. And this is one thing that I see happening right now when it comes to TMF and obviously the bond market. I do see coming in over the next 12 months, we're probably likely to start to rise up into the 180, possibly even to the 120 level as we head into next year. Now, I don't know how that's going to play out. And that's not what this opportunity is all about, right? Like people like trying to time the market. And if the market goes against them, they're freaking out. That's not what this opportunity is all about, right? This opportunity is like, okay, I see what's happening right now. And so for me, I'm already invested in TMF, the bond market. And so therefore I see coming into next year of, all this thing really, really starting to play out from there. So that's the first one that I do see. But then there's these other markets out there, and the other one market that I'm really focusing on is the energy market. I really think there's some really good opportunities here in the energy market. Let me see if I can I'll bring up XLE here for a minute. Okay, cool, here. All right, so this is the XLE. This is obviously XLE with a monthly chart here, as you can see. And this has been going sideways for 3 years. And so for me, this is an opportunity that could, if we do start to get like a break above this 100 level, that to me spells that we could be getting some, we could be probably be starting a real big up move, and then this thing could last 6 to 12 months, possibly even a couple of years of a nice big, what's called a bull market, right? Now, what is a bull market overall? A bull market overall is what? Is that we break out, we go for a move, and we come back down for a few months. We go back up, we go sideways, sort of like what gold's done over the last couple of years. Make sense? So that's what a bull market is, okay? I think a lot of traders, especially new traders anyway, they really think, oh, big bull market, and it goes up like that through there. And then when they think that, they're thinking the wrong thoughts, meaning they think, oh, big bull market, it's going, but then suddenly it has like a couple of weeks of a pullback through here, then they think it's all over. It's like, no, this is how markets truly operate, right? So for example, what's happening with the metals and miners right now. It's not a surprise to see what's happening with metals and miners right now, because the markets never just go straight up, and if they do go straight up really vertically, then you start to get these hard and fast snapbacks from there. Make sense? So when I say this is probably getting ready for a nice good bull market, that's what I see, a nice good breakout from there. So that point from there, even things like XOM, which is obviously the XLE. This XOM is just absolutely just beautiful. I think there's some really real. I think basically the energy sector. is the one of the opportunities that I see. And I say next year because it's probably going to confirm into next year. Maybe. It might even confirm now. But I see probably into next year that it's probably going to confirm, like give my confirmation to get involved with it. Because if we do get a break above, then we could start to see some real nice movement coming to the upside from there. So that's obviously the XOM from there. And this is all this whole energy markets. Now, guys, as you can see here, right, what I talked about for the first part of this video was all about some shorter term opportunities. Now, short term for me is a couple of weeks to maybe a couple of months, depending on how the trade works out. I use my trade management skills then, right? And that's what you need to become successful. You need good trade selection, meaning trade setup, then confirmation, you enter. Then you need trade management to manage the trade, to let the profits run, to cut the losses short, all that sort of stuff. Makes sense? And then obviously risk management from there. So that's what those opportunities that I've talked about today. What I'm talking about here when it comes to the energy sector, even the bond market, right? These and even oil, these opportunities, when they confirm, they're opportunities to jump in a really big move that could last 1 to 2 years. See the differences in mind frame, right? It's a different thinking. We're not focusing on 1 day or 1 week. We're focusing on the next 12 months. And that's what we see there with XOM. And then even from like, for example, USO. Right, if we go to USO, and if I bring this USO, I'll bring up this weekly chart here. Right, so this is USO from here, as you can see. This is USO weekly chart, and because we've been doing nothing for sideways, the number one pattern that I love trading out of, guys, is when the market does nothing for 2 or 3 years. It's been in no trend, it's not going anywhere, and typically what ends up happening after a while, when we do get stuff like this, you end up getting, when you do get a breakout, you end up getting a real big move to come. So this to me is what's called building energy. It's like a bit of a springboard. And I had a really successful trade today, this year on platinum. And if I show you platinum, look at platinum. So why did platinum have such a big move here? All right, this is the weekly chart. Oh, sorry, this is the daily chart, should I say. Let me go to here. Right? I've just drawn a trend line there. So why did platinum see this big explosion move out of platinum, this really big move that happened? Now, I traded platinum, and probably some of you guys were around. Why did I get involved with platinum? See how it's all the same thing, right? I got involved with platinum because of what? Firstly, we had this real big sort of squeezing up pattern down the bottom here. We had this squeezing up here. You can see it was also squeezing all through there. It's basically been doing nothing for 1, 2, 3 years. So whenever we start to get the breakout, this breakout here is where I actually traded it, because it gave me the confirmation, and I hold on to it, and then I rode this up here, and I got out here somewhere, and that gave me 250% return on my options. See what I try to do with myself. Now, when you start to do things like, say, a $20,000 trade, and you start to do 250% return, you start to look at what? It's like a $50-something thousand trade. Makes sense? When you start to see what I'm doing here, that's just one trade there. Even if it was a 200,000, even if it was a 200% return, if you do a $20,000 trade, you make 200% return, you made $40,000. How many more of those do you need throughout the entire year for you to make your 6 figures? See what I'm saying? So it's much easier to look for these opportunities a few times per year than trying to trade every day. I always say it's much easier to do this, look for these opportunities, and make $40,000, maybe even $60,000. 200 to 300% return on this one trade here, which does that, than it is trying to make $2,000 a week, right, or $8,000 a month. So, but you see what I'm saying here? It's all the same thing, really. At the end of the day, when we go sideways, we do nothing for many years. Whenever we break, we typically go for big moves. And as you can see, all these big longer term opportunities that I'm sharing with you right now, when it comes to, say, the XLE, is what? Let me show you this here. Let me bring up the actual. What are we doing here? This is now squeezing up to the monthly chart. Now I was looking at the daily chart, the monthly chart. Same thing, right? Squeezing up, not much going on from here. If I bring on the actual, let's go back to here. Okay, cool, right? We see that through there. We see the XOM, right? And if we even go down to, say, for example, USO as well too. If we go back to the weekly chart here with USO, you can see what I'm looking at here. Same type of thing, right? It's all the same thing. See, it's all you see what I'm saying here? So I'm not guessing. It's the same pattern that I like to do, trade. and typically says with nothing on the chart, and I don't know anything about the fundamentals, and I don't need to know the fundamentals because the fundamentals are going to change, right? What's good today is bad tomorrow, and so on and so forth. What I do know is that whenever we get that, just like platinum and so many other markets that I've done, whenever we do this here, this is called no trend, right? There's been no trend here. But when we do start the breakout, we start the breakout, and we typically start to see that when we do get the breakout, that typically then starts a brand new trend. And when that happens, these can last 6 months, 12 months, sometimes even up to a couple of years and get a real big movement. And so if it does break to the upside here, that could be really, really nice. Now, I always say these are more into next year because I don't believe we're going to get this breakout until next year, maybe in the first few months of next year. But those who are patient looking at these opportunities, when you're ready for it, you can put a position on with good risk management and let it go and capitalize on a really big move. These opportunities, utilizing options, this is where you could potentially jump on those 500 to 1,000% moves. That's like doing a $20,000 trade or a $10,000 trade and making $50,000 to $100,000 from a $10,000 trade for options, but it takes 6 to 12 months to happen. Makes sense? And maybe even longer, but you're looking for these opportunities. So I hope you can see, guys, my hope in doing today's video for you is to show you a bit more about how I personally trade myself. I'm always looking at both scenarios. I'm looking at one, how do I get into a trade that could last a couple of weeks to a couple of months? Get in, get out, make a really good return right now. And that helps me pay my taxes, my bills, and and for me to live off. That's what I do because I make this year I've made 3 really big withdrawals from my trading account from all the profits that I've made to live off and so on and so forth. That's what I talked about through here. But then also I'm looking for what's called a bit of a wealth builder. What I mean by that is I'm not getting in and getting out within a couple of weeks to a couple of months. I'm getting in, and my idea is to hold it like the bond market, like TMF as an example, right? Like TMF through here. My idea is to hold it, and I'm not trying to time the markets. I'm just looking at it from a perspective of what's probably likely to happen over the next 12 months and jumping in on that big cycle from there.